for those of you in construction, you have known the Simpson name for years.
I think with $2.2 billion for a worldwide company, and there's $2.2 billion in sales.
What's some of the new tech that you guys are looking at that's going to kind of push things forward?
What's some of the worst misuse of a great Simpson product? What's the worst you've seen?
I think the worst I've seen is
You guys are really doing some cool things also with truss design.
there's machinery out there, what we call our easy frame. They will print on the plates and on the studs, so you can mark where your studs go.
Give me a definition of mass timber versus concrete.
So mass timber are
Welcome to Beers with Contractors.
All right, we started the show, guys. We are having a great cold open. I'm giving Drake some crap today because, this podcast has cost us more and more for the Coors Light I've been consuming during all these episodes. Our expenses are definitely exceeding our income. So please, please, please work with my sponsors out there so I can get more because I'm poor. I'm just kidding. Anyway, Drake, today, I know a lot of people are going to be weirded out. They're like, where's Terry? And what happened to Terry? And Terry is fine, everybody. He's just busy. He's got stuff to do. He's got kids. He's coming into school season. But our guest today will be sitting in his spot. I have not replaced him. But I will say, I'm liking the look that Drake, you, and our guest today have brought to the table. I'm thinking, man, I could slicken up my look really, really well if I would just clean myself up a little bit. I mean, you guys are representing the bald community.
I'd keep that full head of hair as long as
That's
you can.
right.
I'm just protesting hair on my head in general, right?
No.
So I just migrated all of it down here.
Well, I think what we're going to discover today is this is what podcast production and construction does to you. Today's episode is a help group where we're going to have a confessional from our guests and Drake, the podcast producer, and myself. Just kidding. We're having a blast today. So our guest today is really cool. I've been trying to get him on here for weeks. He's one of my favorite people in the world. I was even blown away today. He works with the Simpson Strong-Tie, which for those of you in construction, you have known the Simpson name for years. And they're a company that specializes in manufacturing the structural building hardware and connectors. Are known for producing a wide range of products, including wood connectors, fasteners, anchor systems for resisting lateral forces. Many of you carpenters out there probably cussed their name a few times, trying to get all those little clips on there because they're required by code. But our guest has been in the industry 23 years, so he's seen the ebbs and flows of the construction industry, good, bad, and indifferent, or I should say good, bad, and even more bad. But back to the craziness of supply chain shortages and all that stuff. But today, Sean Hudson, the senior territory manager with Simpson Strong-Tie. Sean, finally, we got you here, buddy. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
I finally made it.
Hey,
Cheers to you.
and I got my trusty Tonto with me, Drake, my sidekick. And so, Sean, I know that you probably woke up one day as a little child and said, I want to work for Simpson Strong-Tie, right? So
I did.
So before we get in, because Simpson Strong-Tie has got one of the coolest, stories of how they came into existence. The founder is just, man, so inspirational. But how did you get into this business?
I was somewhat in the business prior to Simpson. I was a manufacturer's rep then, calling on the Lowe's and Depots, the big boxes of the world. And then actually a friend of mine reached out to me. He was in the same business, and he reached out to me, and he actually knew of the person that was leaving the position. And again, reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in it because, oddly enough, the two companies I worked with prior to Simpson were failing. And so I was really needing to find a position, and writing was on the wall with that company. So it came about at the right time and just applied for it. And fortunately, that 23 years ago, and they've held on to me.
So wait a minute. They were the rebound date, is what you're saying. The companies were going under. You had no choice, right?
Well, fortunately, I haven't put this company under either.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Oh, good job. But wait, there's still time, Sean. There's still time. Remember, you're doing a podcast today that's going to be on the internet. I'm just kidding. We won't get you canceled, my man. So, by the way, you shot me this really cool video that I didn't even know existed, kind of the history, but like, let's go back because Simpson Strong-Tie, I've seen it around my entire life. I know what you guys do, but like, I didn't realize the founder's history. I think what was it back in the 50s? Tell me about how he even started this stuff.
Yeah, it was founded in 1956. Barclay Simpson, everyone knows him as Bark. That's what he went by. But his family owned a screen manufacturing company. And one day while sitting at dinner, his neighbor's brother stopped by and had a request he had an idea for a roof system, tying the roof system down to the walls on construction. And so he knew that Bark's family had machinery and wondered if he'd be able to produce, it was, I believe, 25,000 of these clips. And so without question, he said, yes, we can do that. And then proceeded to try to figure out how to do it. So got with the shop foreman, they got it all figured out, and rest is history from there. But that was, like I say, back in 1956.
How many fingers have been clipped by hammers based on that one clip that was designed many years? I'm just kidding.
Tons, yes. The old thumb beater nails.
That's the way of the entrepreneur, though, right? It's like, can you do this? Yes. Do you know how?
He
no,
does it.
but I'll figure it out. I have no idea.
And yeah,
No,
like,
that's correct.
I mean, I don't know the size of Simpson. I'm assuming it's pretty big, but yeah, it's like just, hey, can you make this? Yeah, we'll figure it out. I can make it for you. And then look,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, we are. Fast forward to 2024. I think with 2.2 billion, we're a worldwide
Wow.
company, and there's
That's cool.
2.2 billion in sales.
So like
Come a long way since then.
So let me guess. We call those hurricane clips now. Like that specific part. What are they just called? Roof clips now, or what? What were they?
They're called everything: hurricane ties, roof clips, rafter ties. You call them a number of things. But yeah, back then I don't know what model number was. I think it was one of our very first one, may have been like an E33. It was multiple angles. You can bend it different ways for different configurations. But like I say, from there, it's just evolved. And, we've had milestone after milestone through the years from, going public in 1994. So publicly traded company. And, think back then it was $150 million in sales at that time to now 2.2 billion.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
And then finding new markets to merge into. And I think one of the biggest things that I see that changed the trajectory of our company was actually the downturn in 2008.
Like in 08, 09 specifically?
Yes. Yeah. So we were really heavily reliant upon new residential construction, and board of directors kind of said, hey, you guys are too heavily reliant on that. You need to diversify. So that really got us into looking for other avenues of revenue, things that we can get into. And from that kind of spawned off one of our innovation department. And so it's amazing the things that they do. They're looking for new ways. We've always gone through and done value engineering on products, see how we can better make the same product, whether it's putting embossments in one of the hangers or fewer nails to value engineer. But with this initiative, it really started to free flow the ideas. And I think since then, it's got us into fiber reinforced polymers. It's got us into trying to bring some things to the States, like a product that we call CarboFault, and it's for the asphalt. I know you had Tile on a couple of weeks ago talking about asphalt, but we had a product that we brought to the United States that was CarboFault, and it was a sheet of material that would go in between layers of asphalt to make it more durable. It didn't last in this market, but they've been using it overseas for years, and it's just something that was kind of maybe ahead of its time for the United States. But we've gone into machinery now. I know you and I talked before about component manufacturing, and so we've gone into machinery, saws for components for truss manufacturing, and machinery and technology has been a big push for our company.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, it's funny. before to our 5 listeners that are out there. Sorry, I think we're up to maybe 6, Drake, but
7 actually.
oh, 7. I was bad mouthing Sean before because we do have like a brick Healy tie that we use a lot in our company that is a Simpson product, and of course, like it's honestly worth the squeeze. There was a more centralization of distribution that happened few years back, and I was like, darn it, like I can't get these to my vendor that I love and I can get a discount on shipping, and now we got to go direct, and but it was worth it. It's still a great product, but it's like, damn it, you guys created such a good product that you're like, no, this is ours, you have to get it from us. But by the way, it's a great product though. But no, like so back to the manufacturing side and talking about 0809, like was that need to pivot at Simpson during 0809, or was that like before? Did they have the foresight to double check that like before the crash, or was that during?
No, that was during. Yeah.
Okay.
We were riding high before that.
Yeah, I figured so. Yeah, like everybody's like, this will never stop, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
2021 in construction where everybody had money.
Yeah.
That's why I said, like, you've seen a lot in the industry over the last 23 years. So it's just like wild to see. Like, does it just kill you, Sean, to see like videos on YouTube of people using your product wrong? Like,
It kills me, but I got to laugh at it. It's as long as it's not too life threatening, at least.
what's some of the worst you've seen? Like a misuse of a great Simpson product. What's the worst you've seen?
I think the worst I've seen was one of our biggest products, at least in the Midwest, is pipe grip ties. And so they are for fencing. So you got a pipe in the ground and you're tying your runners to the pipe grip tie. And so you would think for fencing to go into the ground. I know we saw these bolted to the top of an SUV with pipe running through there, and they created their own luggage rack with that. So I think that was one of the strangest things I've ever seen. But yeah, they were just cruising down a highway going 70 miles an hour with their home built luggage rack. So we snapped a picture of it and sent it to the managers to see if that was a new avenue that we can promote that to, but no luck.
Oh, that's funny. Have you guys ever like that reminds me just of what people will do with stuff. Have you guys ever been to the Walmart Museum up in Bentonville, Arkansas? They have a wall of like the Wall of Fame of returns, because Walmart's policy for the longest time was like you can return anything. And one of them is a thermos that somebody returned and they gave them a refund for it that was manufactured 6 years before the first Walmart even existed. Oh, there's another one where he returned the fishing pole because it couldn't catch any fish. So it's just like the misuse of the product. I love it. Hey, that's actually a sign of success, Sean, if you think about it. When you have so many products out there that people are misusing it, that like it's just the world getting creative, right?
It is.
So, by the way, I'm assuming one of the wildest or wildly most successful products for Simpson Strong-Tie is the joist hanger. Am I wrong there? I mean, is it like by a wide margin the most used product that you guys sell out there?
You're not wrong. That is one of our top, especially by piece. By piece in my market is probably plywood clips, something you don't think a whole lot about. But
oh, you're talking about like roof sheathing and plywood clips?
Yeah, those little H clips that go on for roof sheathing. I mean, if you sell them by the piece, 250 in a box, and we sell thousands of those, so it's probably number one, but by volume, but definitely joist hangers. I mean, we have such a wide variety of them, whether it's for dimensional lumber or I-joists. We've got a lot of joist hangers, and we sell tons of them, both residential, commercial, DIY space.
Wow.
Well, these are the kinds of things that so my lack of construction experience will show here, but I have seen thousands of these things, but would never have knew the name of them.
Oh.
And so anybody who's been in an attic would see these, at the corners where the the rafters meet the trusses to put them all together. And it's like, I would have lost millions of dollars on trivia if I had been on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, if you had asked me what these things are, but I would have known what they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's wild. Like back when my dad got me into working in the summers on his job sites and things like that, and showing my age here, like there wasn't a lot in the market. Makes sense when you guys went public in the 90s. But then, like approaching 2000, like you could not walk into a remodel or new construction and not see a Simpson product within like 10 feet. They're everywhere. Like, and it's just wild because like I didn't even think about it. I just was like, well, and I don't know what your thoughts on this are, Sean, but like it would appear that like there is a large movement in the code book for getting structures built more for these wild weather swings, high wind, things like that. So what's been kind of your outlook over the last 23 years on how like Simpson is being really embedded in the code book standards for places all over the country? Because you guys got a good gig in some states. Some of these outside sales reps, man, they got it made. Because I'm just kidding, by the way. It's a good product, right?
No, it definitely a good product. But I think as far as code, that was foresight of Bark way back when he started the company, was that he received that idea, made the product, and saw that there's an opportunity for this in a time when, that was Southern California or Northern California where it was started. And with seismic there, they are definitely a hotbed for code enforcement. And due to the high seismic, and codes could be changing based on that. So he ended up selling the screen business and became Simpson Strong-Tie. But yeah, from the very beginning, it was code driven, and not only code driven, but through specifiers. So engineers, calling on engineers and getting product specified on projects, because the engineers are the ones that are designing the project to be able to withstand the high wind and the seismic events. So that, along with code, has been great for the community. It helps for us to be able to help the designers and the builders to build stronger, safer homes. And we're all for better code enforcement and changes to code. We go to code meetings all the time and try to be part of that. We encourage everybody, whether it's a homeowner, a builder, or any contractors, to be part of the code. Because I've been part of, a few years ago, was the Disaster Resilience Network, and they are a nonprofit based out of Tulsa. And it was an organization that really advocated for better building practices, disaster preparedness for businesses, for homes, for homeowners. And they really catered a lot towards making pamphlets and multilingual pamphlets to be able to hand out to the communities that weren't as prevalent speaking English, and so they could be prepared. So they were able to get a help with the state of Oklahoma bring in Fortified, and that's just a building practice in Oklahoma that if you build to a certain standard, then your insurance premiums can be brought down. So it's kind of twofold in the way of it helps save property, but it's also helping save on insurance costs there. So anything that we can do to be part of helping with better code practices, building practices, code enforcement, we want to be part of that.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I want to get back to this Fortified thing here, but hold on one second. Like, I know this has got to happen with you where you've had to knock out, drag out, like, argument with a state level engineer or some inspector or something like that. I mean, does that happen often? Because you guys seem like to be the subject matter expert on all this technical detail of shear loads, lateral forces, wind loads, all that stuff. But is that common that happens?
I think the more of those conversations happen with contractors or builders on that side of things.
No. Well, no, hold on. Us contractors, we get along with everybody. and we're very diplomatic.
Well, it may be just a few of them. But no, it seems like, from an industry standpoint, we have great relationships from building officials, engineers. We have great relationships with builders as well. But, some contractors, they just don't understand why they're having to use certain products. And it's not just Simpson products, but, I've been building this way for 30 years and things have, what's changed? Why has the code changed? And, I typically will answer with, we have been building this way for 30 years, but the designs have changed. I mean, you look at homes now compared to the 1950s, 1980s even. I mean, everyone wants an open floor plan. You're getting rid of all those walls that were helping resist those wind forces, seismics, and you don't have that anymore. You have windows on the exterior walls. So you have to get that load, from the point of origin down to the foundation. And if you're removing all of those load resisting elements, you got to get it somehow.
This is interesting because my dad, I loved my father for what he did and teaching me about construction and all that and handing me all this stuff that was dated. Like, well, sorry, there's going to be people listening to this up and don't even realize this. But yeah, when you open up a book, there's a copyright date on like that second page. And we had all these construction books that are dated back to like the 70s. And this is crazy. Like, there was this concept of, it wasn't a concept, it was a construction method of a shear wall. You had to build a shear wall in a structure to prevent the walls becoming a parallelogram in the entire house. But now that I think about it, you guys have eliminated that, right? Like, there's no need for a shear wall because of all your clipping and mechanisms, right?
Our products will help create shear walls. And so, but no, it like you said, it's part of code, and it's amazing how much code has changed over the years. I remember when it was what they would call corner bracing. And so you would have a 4-foot sheet of OSB at the corner, and then you can fill in with any other material you wanted to. And a lot of times we would see the pink insulation board. And then 20 feet down the line there, you've got another 4-foot section of OSB. So every 20 feet you had OSB there, and that was their bracing, to where now they've got continuous sheathed methods, all kinds of intermittent methods, and portal frame hold down methods. I mean, when you're talking residential IRC, but yes, from shear walls out of the IBC, our products will help create those shear walls with hold downs and tie down systems, ATS and rods. And so, yeah, the products that we create will help with that.
Yeah, that's funny, Sean, that you mentioned about the bracing, like a sheet of plywood every so often. And then, of course, energy efficiency comes in and it's like, no, don't put plywood. We got to cover everything in insulation, right? And that's why ICF's been making such a big, run up the market lately. But, there was this wild book that I read years ago by this guy, Fernando Ruiz. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but Building an Affordable House. I think, I loved this book, by the way. Sean, have you read it?
I have not.
Okay, don't worry. It was, I think, look, I'm looking at the date right now. It was published in 2005. Probably a little out of date.
Costs have gone up just a little bit.
Well, but it talks a lot about value engineering in it. And there's some principles in it that are pretty cool. He actually goes back to the history of 16 inches on center in the book. And the reason 16 inches on center exist was to accommodate lathing for plaster. That's all it was intended for. So you can totally build a house with 2 foot on center structurally. However, in the date of that published, that may work in certain circumstances. In the coast of Florida, probably not, right? When you're dealing with hurricane shear forces. But, hey, if you're in, I don't know, Northern California, absolutely 2 foot on center can work. When you were talking about these shear forces, you guys have really gotten down into the engineering of some of these shear forces and stuff like that. I can't imagine. What's the testing look like for any of your, 4,000 products that you guys have out there?
It's all over the board on testing. We can test individual products. I think we've got 8 accredited labs throughout the states and 300 engineers. But products are they're rigorously tested and from individual products to figure out how much load for a joist hanger, how much load for any of our anchors or our fasteners. So we can do them individually, or we do them as a system. Out in California, we've got the Ty Gill laboratory out there that is, we can do up to 3-story walls, not a whole structure, but 3-story walls, and put it on a shake table to simulate certain known seismic events. And so we can do whole systems. We're part of the engineering community as a whole, and we've tested products with different academia, different universities. So we do a lot of testing, not just of our own, but through the whole community, engineering community, universities and such.
I'm picturing just like a bunch of rednecks sitting out there like, let's get all the fans, boys. We're going to build a house and we're going to just put air pressure on it.
But oddly enough, there is a research facility out there, the IBHS, that does that. They have these, they can build a full 2-story home in there, and they do wind testing. They think something like 56.
Wait, is this in a controlled environment?
Yes.
They'll build a structure inside a controlled environment? That's crazy.
In a building, one end of it has, I want to say 56 of these 5-6-foot fans, and they're able to get all those going and create winds, maybe up to 110. I'm not for sure on that. So they can test to how that wind will affect a structure. They're doing hail tests there and ember blown tests there for fire. Mm-hmm. And so it's an amazing facility. I haven't been there. I've seen a lot of videos on it, but yeah, that's, you were laughing about that, but it's not rednecks doing it. It's it's some smart folks doing that.
Well, hold on now. Like deep down, they want to blow some stuff up, hit it with wind, tear it apart. Like they.
Then we're all rednecks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But no, I mean, I can't imagine this will work. And then obviously it has to be tested, especially if it's going into code and ICC reports and all that stuff. By the way, I didn't realize that's how many engineers were there, like 300 plus. Boy, that's a lot of, oh boy, I would walk in that room and just want to throw myself out the window. And by the way, I say that to be clear, just everybody calm down. I went to school for mechanical engineering, all because my local community college didn't have one for architecture. And boy, I just wore myself out just sitting there designing car parts all day. And I got just so frustrated with it. I do respect engineers. I've got some friends that are engineers. Drake, you would have made a great engineer, by the way. Oh, now you're a sound engineer, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I'm a Coors Light engineer. It all worked out, right? So tell me about like the wild craziness of the material shortages that were happening across the U.S. during COVID. Sean, like how did that affect you guys? Like where's it improving? Is it improving? Like tariffs, like all this stuff going on. Like what are we going to start to see like on the horizon with just a very heavy metallic product line, and what it's doing to the cost in construction?
Yeah, for us, COVID, we had quite a few price increases during that time, and the most we've ever had in any given year, any span. But from a shortage standpoint, we did not have a shortage. We use, I want to say, right at 100% domestic steel for our connectors, on the connector side of things. Now, on our fasteners and on our anchors, those are produced overseas on some of the things, and we are actually making a switch to bring some of the production back to the United States in Gallatin, Tennessee, our facility there. We've are still undergoing a huge expansion there and bringing a lot of the manufacturing back to the United States on our anchors, our anchor line, and our mechanical or epoxy anchors are manufactured in Chicago. So a lot of it, what we make is produced in the United States with domestic materials as well. So that's been great for us, not having to rely on foreign steel. And during the pandemic, like I say, we were expecting a downturn, and that just didn't happen. My sales increased in my territory here in Oklahoma, increased considerably over the years, and just unexpectedly, folks go and doing their DIY projects, and it didn't slow down. It actually increased. So, but like I say, from a material standpoint, We didn't have any issues with it where some of the competitors were putting customers on allotment. They didn't have enough steel. We had great, I say we were lucky, but it wasn't luck at all. We've had great relationships with our steel suppliers over the years, and those relationships are what kept us going and being able to buy enough steel, produce enough material to keep our customers in business.
So when you're thinking about like, obviously you guys are heavy into engineering stuff. Like, what's some of the new tech that you guys are looking at, either on the software side or just, from a building standpoint, that's going to kind of push things forward?
Tradies, running your small business can be demanding. You got suppliers you got to work with. You're managing crews. Hell, you're chasing sales. It's a lot to take in. Listen, if you want to grow your business, you got to stop working in it and you got to start working on it. So that's where my friends at Foundation Rescue Supply come in. You're not just getting foundation repair products and waterproofing products and air quality control products. With their nationwide distribution, you're getting a partner who knows how to help you scale. And that's why I use them. The Foundation Rescue Supply team has industry knowledge that will help make your life easier. You get the tools, the trainings, the systems that you need to move the needle. You want your sales team to close more leads? Done, because they have the proven process for that. You need your crews to work smarter, not harder? Done. Their installation training will get you out there and rocking and rolling in the field. With Foundation Rescue Supply, you're not just buying materials here. You're buying a better business system that they have helped create. And you sell more, you install more, and you grow your team. So the bottom line is this: you get best industry pricing, you get field productivity on track, and you get more revenue out of everybody on your team. So this is your chance to step up, scale up, and thrive. If you are ready to make that happen, head to foundationrescuesupply.com, check out their catalog, and speak to my friends, their team, how you can take beyond the products with your company with Foundation Rescue Supply.
I guess we'll start off with on the software side of things. It's the construction industry is not known for its adoption of technology, for sure. And we started to see a change in that. I know for us as a company, we're putting a lot of resources towards technology, and that technology is going to help people do more with less. So if it comes to builders, we've got softwares that will help them with their management of their options on homes. And we've got estimating services for suppliers. We've got all kinds of softwares that will help contractors figure out what products to use in what applications and how to install those. We've got, I think we're over 50 softwares and web apps now that we have available. And all of those are designed to help let's say, the contractors, the builders, the end users. Our software for builders is one of the great things about it is we've got a builder learning center, and it's designed for, I don't know how often it's happening a lot more and more now that builders are hiring these superintendents that may not have any construction background. And so they need to be educated on construction. So we've got a builder learning center that they sign up for, and it teaches them about, it's not just Simpson products. We're not just dumping everything Simpson on them, but it does have Simpson on there, how to install products. It's got a lot of information about code. So, hey, why am I using these products? What does the code say about boring and notching of studs and plates, or roof construction, or wall bracing? There's all kinds of information in there, like say code related and Simpson related as well. So we're trying to keep it to where knowledge is power. And so we want to be able to give those people the knowledge that they need to succeed in the building industry there for that. And then we've got it for engineers. We've got them for component manufacturing. So we feel that technology is going to be a big part of our future for sure.
I want to say it's kind of cool. Like, I was just browsing the page with some of the software, and like several of these are like free, like planning fences, planning decks. And I thought that was kind of cool. So even for just the average person out there.
We don't have very many that you have to pay for that are online for typical users. Now, some of the builders building stuff, yes, those are kind of for profit on that, So, but a lot of the apps that we have are free. And again, it's one of the biggest things that misordered products that we ever have are column caps. And so they just turn into boat anchors most of the times because they've put the wrong dimension for the wrong beam coming into that beam to column cap there. So we've got softwares and beam to column connectors and joist hanger selectors that will, as you are on there putting your inputs there, on the right-hand side of it, it'll have a rendering of that. So any input you enter, it's automatically giving you a picture of a rendering of what that product is. And so hopefully that eliminates misordering products into where you're getting the exact product that you need. And it's a heck of a lot easier than going through a catalog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because those catalogs are thick.
Yeah.
As the kids say, the kids today, Drake. They just as they say, it's thick. But
Yeah.
So now, do you get
And not
pushback?
only that, the products are in different pages.
Hey, now, do you get pushback, Sean, from like your distributors, like to be like, well, homeowners going to this and they're using this product, it's telling them what to get. The point of sale for those customers, like, is it redirecting them to the suppliers? It's just giving them like the products that they need in some of those apps.
No, it'll give them the products that they need. They don't have to worry about us selling direct because we don't sell direct.
Oh, okay.
We go through distribution. So to a contractor, we get it all the time. Fence contractors or framers or, reach out. Hey, I want to buy direct from you. We don't do that. We support distribution going through distribution. So we've got a whole group of lumber yards and suppliers that we sell through. They're on our dealer locator online. So quite a few of these apps, when they're going in there and trying to figure out what product they need, they can also click where to buy. And so it'll direct them to someone local that has those products. Or if they don't have them, they can get those products. We pride ourselves on being next day delivery to anywhere in the United States. We have 4 manufacturing branches in the United States with multiple satellite warehouses. And so we're strategically putting these warehouses to where when someone orders, they will have the product the next day. Now, it's no guarantee, but that's a commitment that we have. Mm-hmm. And so that makes it great for for availability.
Well, I know you probably don't have like specifics on this, and if not, then we need to get your engineers and all that in, and we'll ask them, and then we'll have like maybe a 3-minute show that day. But this construction general knowledge, like learning management system that you guys are talking about, it's so fitting, Sean, because Drake, I don't know if you knew this, Simpson is a massive supporter of our construction camp for kids and our high school internship and all of that. So that's why I love Sean. He's one of my favorite people. And man, they go to town and they dive in donations and fasteners and all sorts of stuff. So what is the impact you've seen from this just general construction knowledge interface that you guys have built? Because everybody's talking about training. Like, I don't have any training resources to teach people about general construction other than sending them to, the community college, which, hell, we don't know if we're going to get good information there. Like, what's the impact you've seen from that?
I would think that I don't get a lot of feedback necessarily on how things are working, but what I have seen from a training aspect is we do tons of training, whether it's lunch and learns at engineers' offices, whether it's these events for Build My Future, Construct My Future. A few years back, we partnered with, try to think of the name of it now, Building Talent Foundation. Mm-hmm. So we partnered with them a few years ago, and I remember our previous president of North American Sales had told us, his name is Roger Dankel, he told us at one of our international sales meetings about partnering with Building Talent Foundation, and was saying that, we are part of the industry, so we should look to be part of the solution for labor shortages. And so we really pride ourselves on getting out and training folks, again, whether it's engineers, whether it's building officials, when they're inspecting homes, commercial projects, make sure the product's installed correctly. So we do training on that. We do training with builders and their supers. So we get great feedback on a personal level. I don't know all of the data to go along with that, but I know our data shows how much training we do. But I would think that from a industry standpoint, it's very well received. we work with municipalities to get things online. So if you're on the strongtie.com and going under the training section, you'll see different municipalities, different states will have training set up specifically for them that they have approved through their state or local governments. And for Oklahoma, the Construction Industry Board has approved, I want to say, 6 classes of ours now. And to date, we've done it for 3 years. We've had over 500 hours worth of training on that and on that side alone. So training is well received. And I think that that's one of the things that, going back to the story of Roger Dankel telling us about being we're part of the industry, we need to be part of the solution. I think that struck a chord with me. And that's one of the things that I love about working for Simpson is that gives you the autonomy to run a territory the way you want to run your territory, with some oversight, obviously. But it's opened up opportunities for me to be able to chase what I like doing, and that is training. And I've really enjoyed the Construct My Future. I love getting up in front of those kids and teaching them how the proper way to do things, and then just watch the light turn on them, whether it's welding or plumbing or concrete and masonry, the things that they're doing there. I just love seeing that and help training those and to be part of the construction industry in the future.
Well, by the way, I think this whole concept of just generalized construction training is awesome. Like, we got to create accessibility for it. And I'm totally pumped that a publicly traded multi-billion-dollar company will let you run the territory however you see fit, because that's not very common in a lot of IPOs. But Drake, I got to tell you something, like, just so you're aware, Sean is one of our, what we call our OGs at the Construct My Future nonprofit for kids. He's been there since day one. And he is the picturesque individual of stoicism. He doesn't really get very angry. He doesn't get worked up. But I've seen a few times there's a vein that shows up.
With a select handful of young men.
I remember. I think it was last year you were on the field trip and like you came back, it was hot, we were out of water, like everybody was just out of control. And I look at Sean and he was cool. But boy, old Sean, that vein was popping out. I was like, man, Sean, I don't think he's gonna come back next year. And he shows back up, bro. He keeps showing up.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I've learned I even had to put a kid in timeout this year for his behavior, but
that's all right.
Make him sit and watch the festivities.
Hey, were you there last year when that one kid was acting out? And sorry, we're not going to name any names or anything. And we're getting them into a construction camp stuff, which a lot of folks who listen to Tile's episode knew it, but where it's like, I try my best to help these kids when we're teaching them about the trades and all that stuff. And this kid just wasn't into it. So I'm like, all right, sit in this office. Listen, I'm not going to make you stay here, bro. Like, if you got to go home, you got to go home. I'll call your mom. Do you remember that, Sean, what that mom did?
Yeah, I do. I love that.
Drake, this lady was walking to the facility with a belt in hand. Everybody just kind of stopped and saw her coming and just watched her walk across the parking lot. Sean, was that not the best behaved kid for the rest of the camp 20 minutes later?
Got to give her props.
Yeah,
she did her thing.
Got
him in line.
To be clear, like, I want to make sure we don't get canceled. There was no physical abuse. It was just the threat of having the belt in hand. That lady.
Have we reached out to her to see if she will volunteer it for us?
I was outside of the office when the conversations were going on. Nothing bad happened, but yeah, I was like, will you volunteer next year? And she goes, no. I'm having a hard enough time dealing with this one kid. You want me to deal with 96? You're crazy. It was so funny.
One of the best things the most surprising things really from the Construct My Future, I have been surprised, thoroughly impressed that the females, the young ladies, are the ones that do everything the fastest, the neatest, the most simplistic way. It's just, it blows me away how they're performing at the Construct My Future camp.
Yeah, because you do the fastener competition, which the kids love. How fast can you set
Drive
3
3
fasteners
screws.
using an
Yeah.
automatic screw gun, all of that. By the way, Drake, to be clear, like we had a nail driving competition one year. You get like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like 26 kids in a tight room just swinging hammers left and right. So it's like, in comes Sean, and he's like, we have these like automatic screw guns. We can just use this, right? I'm like, that's genius,
Yeah,
Sean.
there was not enough PPE for the hammer driving contest.
It was violent that first year. I'm like watching kids just swinging hammers back and forth. Yeah. Oh no, but so by the way, Sean, you mentioned something before from a technology perspective. I want to bring this back to Simpson because we love your involvement in the camp and all that. But like, you guys are really doing some cool things also with truss design, right?
Yes,
Like
sir.
that's been a big push
We
in the market is trusses, right?
Yeah, it's depending on where you are in the United States. I mean, for me and my territory, so I'm covering all of Oklahoma, kind of central southwest Kansas, and panhandle of Texas. About the only truss market that we have is Wichita, Kansas. They do both floor and roof trusses. Everywhere else is just hit or miss. We see a ton of pole barn in this market, and so those are built with roof trusses. So there's a lot of manufacturers for that as well. But from a residential standpoint, yes, we're seeing nationally there's quite a bit of trusses, and we fit in that market. We started off with the connectors to connect truss to truss or truss to the walls of the structure, and then we got into manufacturing plates and software as well. And so we are continuing to progress with our component manufacturing truss software, and that's spawned off to increasing our footprint in EWP design as well. And so we've got a ton of softwares out there for both EWP and truss. And on the truss side of things, we are putting a lot of resources towards that. We've acquired Monet Dassault is one of the top manufacturers of machinery for component manufacturing. We acquired them. So we're stepping up our game in the component manufacturing world. And from machinery and digital, kind of what we started to talk about or mentioned a little bit earlier was that we had acquired EasyFrame. And I don't know if you've heard much about this technology that's out there now. So with labor shortages that people are talking about, we talk about the construction industry being slow to adapt to technology, and then the labor shortages. Well, there's machinery out there that it's what we call our easy frame. It's a saw. It's got in-feed and out-feed tables, and you can program this saw to cut lumber to specific lengths. So you're cutting your wall packages, your headers, your plates, and everything to specific lengths. And we've got the best-in-class ink printing, so they will print on the plates and on the studs. So you can mark where your studs go. You can mark where maybe an anchor bolt would go, where hold downs might go. You can put where your roof to top plate connector would go, your hurricane ties. You can mark where your electrical chases go on there. So it's printing on there, and it just comes on a pallet and you construct it like Legos.
That's
And
crazy.
so
That's
how many
cool.
times have you been to job sites? I mean, we go every year for Construct My Future out to job sites, and you see how many piles of lumber are out there. How much lumber is just wasted on job sites, So it's a way to do more with less, speed up your production time, your build time, and it's just a great system to implement technology and help for labor shortages.
That's wild.
But yeah, we are definitely full blown into technology research and putting resources towards that.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. I've seen a little bit, and I think I've heard from our friends at Builders First Source about similar things. Like, but
Yes, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they have a system similar to that, and some of their locations actually use our systems as well, our Easy Frame. But it's one that they've got it in Oklahoma City. They've got in multiple places. They're trying to ramp up in this market and slow going at first because of the resistance of new ways to do things. But I think it's going to be inevitable that, years from now, you're going to see more and more of that, to where the cut packages are done in a controlled environment. There's less waste and just shipped out to the job site and erected there. I mean, there's studies of, there was one large builder in Oklahoma City metro area that a number of years ago, they tried building that way, and the framer did not want to do that. So he kind of walked off and said, I'm not going to do this. So they brought a crew up and built 3 houses, and they drove up from Texas and had 3 houses framed in at the end of the day.
Wow. That's crazy.
Whoa. Is this system, I'm looking at these machines, they look pretty cool. Is that a system that you'd put in a distributor, and the distributor would be doing all the markings? Or where would that be getting marked?
Different ways of doing it. So it could be the supplier. If a framer wanted to purchase, we have framers that have purchased these, and they can actually put them in a Connex box and travel around with those. So it's multiple. I've seen them on some larger multifamily projects, so apartments type of projects, and where the framer is actually doing that there on the job site. But other than that, it would be a supplier, a lumber yard that would invest in that, and they would do it within their shop and then ship it out.
Yeah, It does look cool.
That looks pretty cool.
Pretty slick.
But that's just part of the advancement in technology and new ways of building. And, another thing that we see that has come on over the years, we even have a couple of projects here in Oklahoma that are mass timber projects. We're seeing more and more of those, to where there's no concrete, or little concrete, but it's mass timber projects. And you can build those taller. We see them a lot in the Northwest, Canada, and all throughout the states. There's a project in Arkansas, the Walmart complex, that has been and designed with mass timber, and is, I believe, still being built over there. But we're seeing a lot more of that technology as well, or that way of building.
Well, so there's kind of a fork in the road here. Like, this is cool because we're talking about prefab too. Like, are you guys getting involved in a lot of prefabricated structures as well, that are showing up on site, ready to be just craned down and plopped in place? That's a poor choice of words, but you get what I'm saying.
I hear of that. I don't see a lot in my market. We have had some local truss manufacturers that have built walls and shipped those out. I know that they did that for down at Fort Sill a number of years ago. All of those new housing down there was prefab walls built at the component manufacturer where they're building their trusses. They built the walls, they ship them out, just erect them that way. It's got the sheathing on it and everything already. So we see some of that, and it has become, I hear more and more of that throughout the United States, but in my market, I don't see a lot of that, or see it, or at least where I've heard of it, is becoming a little bit more prevalent with some multifamily projects. But again, I don't see a lot of it, but I know it's out there throughout the United States. And I think it will only get bigger, just like the cut packages that we just talked about with EasyFrame. I see that those packages are built in a manufacturing facility and then shipped out and erected. I just see that becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah, the cut packages are definitely cool. So, by the way, just to be clear, to get some clarity for some of our listeners here, give me a definition of mass timber versus concrete real quick, so we got some clarity.
So mass timber are, multiply, maybe for a floor system, they're gluing a bunch of 2x together. Could be 3 layers, 5 layers, 7 layers deep. So they might have 2x6s laying flat. And then on the next one, it'll be rotated the opposite direction. And then, so they're mass plying those, or gluing all those together. So they're built up dimensional lumber. And so they'll build columns out of those, floor systems out of those, beams, columns, floor systems, roof systems with just huge panels.
Yeah, those are cool.
And they go together with a lot of fasteners. There's a lot of hardware that can go with those. They still could hold down some sort of caps. And we're getting more and more. A lot of those products in the past have been from overseas. the fasteners and different connectors for those. And good thing about us, we can make it domestically and have plenty of inventory and be able to ship out to projects, right away and not having to wait weeks to months on product.
And what's like some like structurally engineering wise, like what would be the difference in the benefits? What would I be comparing mass timber to, like something with concrete or?
Yeah, it could be traditional wood frame construction that you might be comparing it to, that it might be replacing, but a lot of times it'll be replacing the taller structures, mid-rise structures, to where you can't build that out of dimensional lumber traditionally. It would have to it might be replacing like concrete structures. And there's, a lot of, it's better for the environment for mass timbers over concrete. And so there's a draw based off of that. There's a draw in just the way it looks and I don't know the terminology for it, but the way it makes people feel when they walk into a room you can see all the lumber in there. It just makes you feel better. So it's kind of along with those lines as well. That's why it's a big draw.
Well, Sean, I want to be very clear. Like,
okay,
you have now been to our podcast studio in place of Terry. Obviously, I care about what people feel like when they walk into a room, including Chris Farley screaming in your background over your right shoulder, plenty of beer posters, obviously. And to be clear, our design sense, we should probably have an interior designer on our next show, Trey, because our studio Sean, first day here. I mean, you probably walked in and didn't expect it to look like this, but here we are.
Well, that's exactly what I expected it to look like. It's beers with contractors. It's not beers with interior designers.
Yeah, I got my I got my AstroTurf, I got my kegerator, I got a big couch, I got TVs. We're good. It's a man cave. But anyway,
yeah, she got the porta-john door.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yes. Drake, I don't think you've seen that. Have you seen the porta? Yep. Terry came and put a porta-john door over the bathroom door. So when you got to go to the bathroom, you literally feel like you're entering in through a porta-john. It's great. So, Sean, we ask all of our guests this, and we're going to test you to see if you read the podcast prep notes. I am known as a patron saint of screwing things up, but I like to screw it up so bad I can brag about it like a Texan. So what's a screw up maybe you had in your career that maybe you could at least brag about to help somebody out there in the world?
I don't know of any fireable offenses. Seems like a lot of the mistakes I've made are small ones. I don't have anything large that would be braggadocious, but just a lot of small mistakes. And that's part of the autonomy that we have to kind of run the business the way we want to, that we see fit to move the market forward, and make mistakes of opening up customers that probably shouldn't have been opened and eventually have to shut them down. I've made mistakes in presenting, and, I've been up in front of a group of folks presenting on seismic and found that I did not know anything about seismic, and I shouldn't have been the one to do that. No matter the research I got or the input I got from other folks, I should not have been presenting that. And that one still haunts me to this day. I was thinking about that the other day, and even got embarrassed years after the fact that I don't know that I did so well on that one. But again, not a fireable offense, but one that still haunts me.
Well, I think you worked out all right, Sean. You're one of my favorite people in the world, man. You show up, you deliver. Makes sense why you've been there at that company for 23 years. And listen, appreciate all you do for us at the construction camp, but also Simpson entirely. Like, you guys are innovators of the industry. I love it. And it makes sense when they got good people working for them like you. So, Drake.
I appreciate you having me.
Yeah. And also, like, I just want you guys to know, it's like through certain healthcare plans, they do have like hair treatment policies and plans in place so that are covered by your deductible. But nevertheless,
then you got to pay for shampoo and conditioner and
there's that efficiency.
I don't need that.
That's right. But anyway, Drake, I appreciate you. Sean, I appreciate you guys still listening, man. We will see you next week on another episode of Beers with Contractors, and back with Terry next week. So see you guys. Peace.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Beers with Contractors. We hope you enjoyed our chat as much as we did. Before we say our final goodbyes, a friendly reminder. Beers with Contractors encourages responsible drinking. If you choose to enjoy a beverage during our time together, please do so in moderation and only if you're of legal drinking age in your country or state. Furthermore, the advice and insights shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only. Always consult with professionals and experts in your field, and be sure to follow local laws and regulations regarding licensing and permits. We're here to help, entertain, and inspire, but your safety and compliance are important. So, as you head out into the world of construction and contracting, remember to build responsibly and make decisions that stand the test of time. Thanks for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next episode of Beers with Contractors. Until then, cheers to your success.